Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today we're going to be talking about Crest and their abilities in Fire Emblem Three Houses and which ones I think are the most useful and ones that I think are honestly kind of bad. But before we get into that, I do want to thank everyone who's subscribed to the channel. I don't normally talk about this stuff at the beginning of videos, and I usually, if I do talk about this kind of thing, I leave it at the end. But I just want to make sure you guys know how much I appreciate you. 9,000 subs is really cool. It's a lot more people than I ever thought I'd have care about watching my videos. But that being said, I am really excited for 10,000. We're still growing every day, so if you're new here, please subscribe. Get the whole be here before 10. You've been here before 10,000 subs or whatever. If that's a cool thing that people say. And please like the video so other people can find it, and also comment your thoughts. It just kind of helps the whole YouTube thing. I really want to get to 10,000 subs if we can, and I'm excited for that mile marker. But anyways, enough of that. Sorry. Again, I usually leave that for the end of the video. But let's get into today's topic of crests. Now, I think every crest in Fire Emblem Three Houses is honestly like not going to impact your gameplay that much. All of them are pretty bad. They're all pretty bad, let's be honest. And that's just because of low activation rates. There's only one or two crests that I think are actually really, really good. The rest of them I think they're honestly relatively bad, but in relation to each other, they're all like okay. So we're going to have a few in the top tier and a lot of more middling things, and I'll talk about why. Also, I'm not going to be taking activation rate into account because, again, that just makes them all really bad. I'm also not going to be taking into account what character has the crest, it's just the effect itself. So we're really focusing in on crest abilities, not how it works with kits or activation rates or anything like that. I just want to get it really, boil it down, distill it to its most basic foundation of principles here with these crest powers. So let us get started. First we have Byleth, who has the Crest of Flames, which starting now I will say spoilers for some characters who don't know what their crest is until later in the game or after doing paralog or something. So spoilers for that, just so you know. But first off, we have Byleth, who will have representing the Crest of Flames. He's not the only character that has it, but I think he best represents it. So the Crest of Flames occasionally restores HP equal to 30% of damage dealt. Also, rarely raises might and stops counterattacks. I really like that it has multiple effects. It's the only crest that does that. Really cool. Has three different effects here. And I'm not too big on the healing, but I really like the raises might and the stops counterattacks. I think any way you can raise your attack power in Three Houses is super useful. Therefore, I think the Crest of Flames is an S tier crest. Okay, next we'll do the Crest of Cirrus, which we have represented by Edelgard, as she is the only playable character with the Crest of Cirrus. The Crest of Cirrus occasionally raises might when using combat arts. There are a lot of crests that do this. There's a lot of crests that raise your might based on only when you use combat arts, and I don't like that nearly as much as I like combat arts that raise your might by just using normal weapons. Because combat arts, you're not going to be using them as often, and then that just reduces the chance of it happening even more. I still like the extra might, it's like +5 or something like that. That's nice, but it's rarely going to make a difference in the end, I feel like. So I will say, I think the time that's going to make the biggest difference and people will notice it is the early game where, 3, 4, 5 points of damage could mean the kill compared to not having that 3, 4, or 5 points of damage. But so that being said, I think it's good, but it's not great. Endgame, I feel like it becomes pretty useless. Early game is really good. I'm going to put it into tentative A tier. Tentative A tier, I might move it down to B after discussing some more of these. I do have the tier list already in front of me. I already finished it, but I just want to, I'll probably move some stuff around after I'm done is all I'm saying. Okay, next Claude with the Crest of Regan. So again, not Claude, but the Crest of Regan, I just have him representing it essentially. So it sometimes restores HP equal to 30% of damage dealt when using combat arts. I think that is honestly really bad. I don't like it. The restoring HP is just kind of nice little bonus. More often than not, you're not going to need it because you have a healer who's ready to heal him because you're sending him into combat anyways. You can't really rely on that 30%. So you're almost never going to be in a situation where it's really useful. And if you are, not to be rude, but you probably played the game wrong. As rude as that sounds. And the fact that it's combat art means it's only available on player phase. Which, just saying that now, I'm gonna move down Edelgard's, or not Edelgard, sorry, the Crest of Cirrus down to B2. Because it's only available on player phase, which is just like half the game says no, your crest doesn't matter, which I don't like. All right, next we have Dimitri, and his is the Crest of Blathid. I shouldn't say Dimitri. The Crest of Blathid. It's really interesting, really, because it doubles the might of combat arts, but it also doubles the uses that combat art uses. So I've had times where Dimitri just chews through an Iron Lance because I used a Tempest Lance. And he uses 10 uses instead of 5. And there's an Iron Lance, I believe, only has like 30 uses or something like that. So he just munches through weapons really fast if you happen to proc that crest. And honestly, I find that really annoying. I personally hate that. I'm going to say that. I really don't like when his crest activates. More often than not, it makes me upset than I appreciate it. So that might just be personal bias. I understand it can lead to huge damage, to some of the highest damage output in the game. But that's pretty overkill damage output generally. So, and I do this knowing that a lot of people like this crest because they like to see the big numbers. I think it's pretty bad. I don't like the doubled uses. I'm going to put it into C tier. I don't like the doubled uses. Just chewing through weapons. I don't like that. Alright, the Crest of Darius, represented here by our friend Felix, sometimes raises might when using a weapon. It just raises might when you're using a weapon. And that can activate on both player and enemy phase. So anytime he attacks, anytime a user with this crest attacks, there's just a decent chance that they'll add some might to their damage output, which can make a big difference. Especially when you have it on a unit with like gauntlets or something that a lot of people like to point out with Felix. I think this might be the best crest in the game. But we'll see once we're at the end. This crest is insane. So good. Alright, next, I'm going to do these next two together because they do the same thing. The Crest of Gautier and the Crest of Daphne. They both raise might of combat arts. Again, player phase only. And it's not going to be that big of a difference. Nothing you can really plan on. It shines most in early game, but really falls off in importance later on. So B tier for sure. Alright, the Crest of Limb. Sorry if I say these wrong, by the way. I know I have people in Discord that like to point out that I'm wrong, and I appreciate it. I like the help. But sorry. But the Crest of Limb occasionally conserves uses of recovery magic, which of course on Mercedes makes a lot of sense. But I don't like that. I've never had a problem running out of healing uses on a map, so I think that is pretty pointless. Maybe I don't know. It might be nice with with a fortify use or physic uses or something. But really, especially in the end game, you're gonna be in the mid to late game. You're gonna probably be in a class for your main healer that has double the uses of white magic, whether it's Bishop or Gremory for the females. So I don't really see any reason to rely on this, or even why this will make that big a difference. I think the Crest of Limb is pretty disappointing. All right, now this is one of the spoiler ones. This crest, the Crest of the Beast. Represented here by Marianne. Sometimes raises might when using a weapon. Now this is an instance where it's maybe not the best on Marianne, but the crest effect itself is really good. It's right here by the Crest of Darius. They do the exact same thing, and they're both freaking amazing. So I'm going to put them right next to each other. All right, next is the Crest of Gloucester. Now, Lysithea does have two crests, but I feel she represents the Crest of Gloucester better than Lorenz because I'm biased and I like Lysithea a lot. So we're going to have her represent the Crest of Gloucester, which just occasionally raises might during magic attacks. That's all it does. But that is almost as good as the Crest of the Beast and the Crest of Darius effects. Because it's just a normal attack that will happen on both player and enemy phase that just has a chance of dealing more damage. That's awesome. Again, you'll notice I think for most crests, you'll notice the effects being more useful in the early game. But these three in particular, these three that affect how much damage you do just with normal attacks, are some of the best in the game. And they are amazing. I like them a lot. So yeah, Crest of Gloucester, represented by our friend Lysithea, definitely S tier for me. All right, the Crest of Gon, represented by Hilda, sometimes allows combat arts to prevent enemy counterattacks. I think this is just bad. I think it's just bad. Preventing counterattacks is cool, but it's a player phase only thing with combat arts, and generally when I'm using a combat art, it's to kill an enemy. Rarely do I use a combat art to weaken an enemy, unless I'm trying to like weaken an enemy to like soften them up for another unit to kill them, which is very rare. I think this crest is one of the worst because you really aren't going to be trying to prevent counterattacks from a combat art. You're trying to kill things more often than not. So I'm going to say, I think the only time it really becomes useful is with like monsters or something, if you're using like Monster Breaker or something to that effect. I think it's pretty bad. I'm going to put it bottom of C tier. And again, I know people are going to disagree with me on a lot of these. That's fine. That's the fun part of tier lists. Everyone gets to have their own opinion. Alright, the Crest of Indek, represented by Bernadetta. Occasionally allows weapon attacks to strike twice. So essentially, Bernadetta has Adept from like the Tellius games and from the Yggdrasil games. Adept is a really fun skill in those games for sure. You know, being able to attack twice in one turn right away. Basically gives her a brave effect out of nowhere, which is really cool. I really like that. I think that is. It's almost that to me. That's like as good as almost as good as just increasing your might. Actually, no, it's probably better than increasing your might. Honestly, thinking about it, if I'm not talking about activation rate, I'm not talking about anything like that, and I'm not talking about like who has the crest. I think this might be the best one. This one makes me want to consider. Now thinking back on it, this one makes me want to take more activation rate into account because this almost never happens. I've used Bernadetta quite a bit now. I've literally seen her crest activate like twice. It doesn't happen very often. But I think for the rules that I've made for this tier list, I have to put it into S tier. Just because you get to attack twice. If we're not taking activation rates into account, then yeah, it's amazing. Crest of Indek. Good stuff, I guess. Alright. Constance's is one, which I forget the name of. I got it right here. The Crest of Noah. Occasionally does not consume a use during magic attacks. I know this works really well with Constance's bolting if you can get lucky enough to have it happen, but that takes some insane luck anyways. But the effect itself, I don't really find that great. I think it's better than the Crest of Limb, which is recovery magic. So I like that better for attack magic because there are some really strong attack magics that you may run out of uses, but I don't think it's worth. You know, again, it's not something you can rely on, and if it happens, it's just kind of a happy coincidence rather than this amazing strategy you planned out. So C tier. All right, the Crest of Keyhole. Sorry if I say that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how they pronounce it in the game. Keyhole, or is it? It's like Cichol. Sichol. Pretty sure they pronounce it Keyhole though, which is kind of funny. Sometimes lets combat arts prevent enemy counterattacks. Preventing enemy counterattacks is cool, but it's bad. Because it's a player phase only. I don't like that. If it was not player phase only, I think I'd like it more. But it's with combat art, so boo. Alright. Crest of Dominic, represented by Annette. Occasionally conserves uses of attack magic. Boo. Same thing as Constance's, I don't like it. Same thing as the Crest of Noah. Alright. The Crest of Timotheus. Occasionally does not consume a use for recovery magic. Okay, so again, dumb. I don't like that. I don't see why that's even like a skill. I don't even see why that's like a crest. This doesn't seem very useful to me. I mean, if it was like occasionally does not consume a use of faith magic or white magic, I might be more into that because the idea of like you could rig warps to be used more often in a map or something because you could save uses on it, but it doesn't work that way. Like again, you're generally not going to run out of physic. You're generally not going to run out of heal, recover, or fortify or anything like that. So yeah, I don't like it. I think it's bad. I think it's bad. All right. The Crest of Sethlene. Again, sorry if I say it wrong. Sometimes raises might when using recovery magic. I think this is like a step above the like saves uses, because I think that's more useful, especially in 3 houses where honestly it's pretty healing full, especially in the early game, is pretty rare unless you have like recover, which a lot of the best healing units don't have recover, which I think is funny. That's reserved for some other units. So I'm going to put it into B tier for now. Alright. The Crest of Chevalier sometimes restores HP equal to 30% of damage dealt when using combat arts. Boo, when using combat arts, boo. I don't like crests that only activate during combat arts, if you can't tell. I think that really, really hampers their usefulness. Alright, the Crest of Emblem occasionally prevents enemy counterattacks when using a weapon. I kind of like that. Wow, when using a weapon, I think that's A tier. I really like the ones that are just when you use a weapon, because it can happen on both player and enemy phase. The thing is, it's only useful in enemy phase if you're getting doubled, but hey, that's still a use. But also just preventing enemy counters with just normal attacks can save you a hit that you weren't expecting to take, and I mean you were expecting to take, but maybe it frees you up to have more options or something. I don't know, pretty rarely useful overall, but that's how most crests work. I like it just because it's just it's an easier activation requirement, just using a normal weapon. All right, now we have the Crest of Karen, if that's how you say it, or is it Chadron? I worked with the lady named Chadron. So the Crest of Karen occasionally raises might when using combat arts. Boo! One of those. Stop! I hate the combat art exclusive ones. Like, just make them so they can just raise their might anytime. Those are so good. All right, last, but maybe not least. Occasionally stops. It's the Crest of Ernest. Occasionally stops enemy counterattacks when using a weapon. So it's the same thing as the Crest of Alban. Pretty good stuff. Now, that is all just my opinion. You are more than welcome to disagree with said opinion. I would love it if you did, because I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So please share those thoughts. And of course, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. We're almost to 10,000 subs. We're only 1,000 away. It feels like from 8,000 to 9,000 was pretty quick, so I'm hoping 9,000 to 10,000 is pretty quick too. So let's hopefully make that happen quickly. I'd really appreciate it, guys. And yeah, don't forget to comment your thoughts. Thanks for watching.